I'm Scott, this is Guitarnivore, and today we are back on the workbench with another Guyker sponsored modification. And this time I am doing this beautiful Epiphone SG, and I'm going to be putting a tailpiece that I'm going to show you in just a second here, and a new bridge. I've got everything else prepped. You're probably wondering why I still have strings on this. Long story, I've already done this once, had to reshoot, lost some data. Don't want to talk about it. So we are starting over. And I'm going to get a better angle, so let's get busy. So this is just an old SG Pro I bought from a pawn shop, and it was kind of beat up when I got it, so I've fixed it up, and I've had it a while, and Guyker reached out and said, hey, would you like to do another sponsor video? I said, sure, and they said, pick some parts and go at it. So what I picked this time around is a bolt-on, simple bolt-on vibrato. There's no modifications needed to the guitar. You don't have to drill any new holes or anything. You've got some pieces in here. I'll show you all those in a second. Then I've got this tail piece here. This is a tail piece with roller saddles, so it's a roller bridge. I'm going to set that right there. And these are your studs. And this is your bag of studs for the vibrato. This is the TM-85N Chrome. Now there's a couple different ones. You have ones with an arm that kind of looks like a Strat arm, and both of them seem very well built. Now in this accessory pack, you do have one of these. This is a locking nut. With this kind of bridge, Guyker, if you're listening, you're just wasting your money putting these in there. I don't think anybody would use this in this style bridge because it's not floating and it's not unlocking, so it just doesn't work quite right. But you get a couple Allen wrenches. This is to adjust this if you need to down here. And this is to adjust the top part. Now, it comes with two springs. This is a shorter, slightly stiffer spring, and this is a taller, slightly less stiff spring. They might be about the same tension, but in order to change them, you have to loosen that up and kind of squeeze it in there. You can take it all off if you want to. And this has a nice 360-degree turn. These are your mounting studs. And then this little pad here, I'm going to show you what you do with that pad right there. It goes right under here because this part will be held up by the studs. But this will be just kind of floating above your finish. Now for some reason, if it bends and it touches your finish, it could damage your finish. So we're going to take that little pad right there. It's got an adhesive back on it. And we're going to center it. Right about there. I know I didn't quite center it perfectly, but it'll be okay. So we're going to set that right there. The extra spring, we're not going to use this extra spring. I'm going to put that there. I don't need that right now. We're going to get that, and I don't need this either. So the first thing is disassembly. I've taken the strings off. I've pushed them back. I'm going to reuse the same strings I had when I screwed it up the first time. Two things you're going to need to install this bridge. You may need a soft blow hammer, and you're going to need a big flat tip screwdriver. So you got to remove the old bridge. Now sometimes these are loose enough where you can just pull them right out, and sometimes you might have to pry them out. Now if you have to pry them out, I would suggest using a rag like this, and if you have a piece of wood, to kind of get some leverage and just get up underneath there and easily pull it out. These are really loose, so I'm making it look really easy right now. So all the old bridge hardware is out, and we're going to put in the new mounting sleeves and studs. So I'm going to take the screws out of the mounting brackets and put them in there, and they're a little tight. Now because they're a little tight, I'm going to use a soft blow hammer to put them in there, but I don't want to do that while I have the neck in the cradle. So I'm going to move it over so the neck is floating off of the bench and the guitar is flat against the bench. Now, if you got a soft blow hammer, great. If you don't, if you have a regular hammer, carpenter's hammer, whatever, just put a piece of wood between the mounting stud and the hammer and just tap it in. You got to be really easy. You don't want to go banging on your guitar and break something. So we're just going to ease it in. And now they're nice and snug and flush. Now, if they're too snug, you might either want to try to take some lubricant, or you may have to widen up the hole a little bit. If your mounting brackets are too big and you try to force them in there, you could damage your guitar. You don't want to do that. So let's take the bridge hardware. Doesn't want to come out of here. And again, I'm going to remove the screws, because you don't want to put them in there and use the threaded screw up there to bang them in, because you could damage the threading and it'll be a mess. And I'm going to be able to push these in pretty easy for the most part, but I got to get them all the way in. Tap, tap. And now they are nice and flush. Let's put the neck back in the cradle over here. And now we got our post studs all installed. And we're just going to put these in a little bit. I have it measured already. One thing you want to do before you take your strings off and replace any of this stuff, and I hope you're watching before you did all of that stuff, you want to measure your string length from your nut to the contact point of the bridge. And I've already done that. I've got all my measurements written down here. That way when I put everything on, I can kind of get everything in a tight ballpark for intonation. Now we don't want to put these in yet because they got to go over there. So I've got this ready for mount. I'm going to drop it right in there. Oh, looks like I got to loosen up the grub screw. And it's mounted. Now I'm going to get my measurements right real quick here. That one's a good height. But this one needs to come up. And be careful while you're using these on your finish. I know I'm putting it right against there, but I'm trying to be careful. This side's got to come up to 18.7. I also want to get that in the ballpark. That way, when I go to measure the string height, I have to make very minimal adjustment. So next up, we're going to simply mount this here and place it above there. Like I said, no modifications are needed. Just get your screws started so it holds it on. And I would hand tighten them as far as possible because you don't want to mar up your screws over here. And I'm going to show you a trick with the flat tip screwdriver here in just a minute. Now I can use this little one there because it's not going to hold a lot of, just to get it started. Like I said, you don't want to mar up your new chrome hardware. So what I do is I take a rag over it, find the slot with a screwdriver, and very carefully tighten it down. That was nice and tight. That way you don't have metal on metal. Isn't that an Anvil song? Metal on metal. Nice and tight. Not going anywhere. So there you have it. It's all mounted up. Let me get a little closer shot. There you go. It's all mounted up and looking good. Those rollers look nice, and they do roll. I'm not 100% sure how much difference that will make in tuning. I'm hoping it'll help. But at first, I was going to try to put one of the Maestro style vibratos on there, and then I realized if I did that, I'd have these posts here, the holes for those posts, just wide open. Do we really want to see that? So I went with this style bridge, and it actually looks really good. All right, so I'm going to put the strings back on, and then we're going to get it all set up and play it. Now, if you can see on the back here, these strings just slide right in. So it's kind of a pain when you're trying to get this end, but at the same time, it's super easy. So I've already had these strings on here once, so I just kind of got to get them in the groove here a little bit before I tighten them back up. What happened was the first time I was filming this, I didn't realize how low my battery actually was in the camera. I thought it said 61%, and it might have been a lot lower than that. I am not sure. But all I know is that it just went black, and then when I replaced the battery, it mentioned something about recovering data, and it didn't recover the data. So all I had was this angle and this audio, and it was just not ideal. Speaking of ideal, reusing these strings was probably not ideal, but they were brand new yesterday. All right, we got the strings back on. Now you can see with the strings on. They aren't tuned yet, but my height's good. Should be good. And it's a nice short throw. Now you may have to be conservative with it. We'll see. All right, I've got everything set up, tuned up, and intonated, and this is what we're sounding like. Now with these type of tremolos, you still have to be a little bit conservative about how much you use it. You can't just do dime bag type dive bombs and expect it to stay in tune with a non-locking, non-floating tremolo. Especially if they're brand new strings. Sometimes brand new strings take a little bit of time to kind of settle once you install them, once you get them stretched. So keep that in mind when you first get it. Don't be discouraged if the first time you put them on there, they kind of go out of tune on your first dive. It's not meant to dive. It's just meant to give you a little tremolo. Now this particular bridge, this is a TM-85N. This one will run you about $99 on Guyker.com. And I do have a TM-85 Chrome, which has more of a Strat style tremolo bar to it. And I'll be giving that away on Instagram. I don't know just yet. My link to my Instagram account will be down in the description and the pinned comment, so keep an eye out for that. Now the roller bridge isn't totally necessary, but this one's only about $13. And I figured anything to help it stay in tuned would not be a bad investment. And you can get other ones on there for about $20 too, in gold and black. This particular one is a GM005. And any of these parts, if you want to order them, you can get a 15% discount using my discount code GuitarNivore, and I also get a little commission from that. And everybody who's already used that, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I have received small commissions from your orders. So thanks so much for that. In conclusion, if you're looking for an easy mod to put a tremolo on an SG or Les Paul without doing any modifications to it whatsoever, this is a great option. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe to see more, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.